Yo guys, what's up? Welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how Cubeatz makes crazy experimental samples in the style of Lil Baby. So first I will preview the sample, then after that I will break it down and show you how I mixed it. Then after that I will show you how I mastered it and processed it. And then I will show you the processing after I rendered it out. So please make sure to stay till the end, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. And make sure to leave a cool comment. I will be giving away a bunch of samples to some of y'all commenters. And thank you for 2,000 subscribers. The 2K kit, which is a multi-kit, will drop next Tuesday, so y'all make sure to stay tuned for that. It has 20 loop operator presets, 25 samples, 20 melodies, and an essentials industry drum kit. And you can even send back beats made with my loops, so I can send them out for placements. So don't miss out on that. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah guys, let's go. So for the first thing I used the Kill September Mercury 3 one-shot kit, and I used this preset which is kind of like a pad or a synth, and I laid down this pretty simple chord progression with a few switch ups, and I randomized the velocity just to make it sound more realistic. Then I pressed Alt and S, which is this drumizer, I think that's how you pronounce it, and I'm pretty sure I had it on these settings, but you can just play around with it so you can make the instrument sound more realistic. And that's basically it for this pattern, and it sounds like this. Then for the effects on the synth or on this pad, I had this 3 parametric EQ just for the frequencies that I didn't really like or that weren't really necessary for the whole sample. Then I had this EQ again just for the same thing, and I had this EQ just to cut out some of the lows just that they don't clash with the bass. Then for the next thing I used this Nami Chapter 1 pack, which is a one-shot kit again, and I picked this simple Nami Vibes mellotron preset. I normalized it, reversed it, put the out knob on 21% and the length knob on 76%, and I laid down this pretty simple pattern. I didn't even randomize the velocity. It's basically just there to give the whole sample more of a texture or like more of the full feeling, I would say. And the pattern I laid down is sounding like this. So yeah, as you can hear, it's pretty repetitive, but it's just a simple counter melody just to make the sample more interesting. And for the effects on this mellotron, I had this simple EQ just to cut out some of the frequencies that I didn't like. Then I had the soothe, which I turned on the hard setting, and I turned this knob to 5.7. Then this simple Valhalla vintage verb where I tweaked the mix and the decay. And I had this EQ again just to cut out a lot of the lows and a lot of the highs just to duck it more into the background, and as I said, just make it more of a texture. Then for the next thing, I had the Kill September bank again, and I used this voltage high preset, which is a bell, and it matched perfectly with the pattern I showed you before. And I will play both patterns together. I just lowered the volume a bit, and both patterns together are sounding like this. And for the effects on this bell, I had this simple EQ just to cut out some of the frequencies that I didn't like, and this EQ just to cut out some of the lows just that they don't clash with the bass again. Then for the next thing, I had this violin riff from Splice, and I just pitch it up by 4 just to bring it into key. I time stretch it just to bring it into time, put the declicking mode on smooth and the mode on stretch, and I had this simple automation clip just that it doesn't make the clicking sound at the beginning because this declicking mode couldn't really fix it. And the violin from the first pattern is sounding like this. Then for the effects on this first violin, I had this 3 parametric EQ with these settings, and as you can see, I EQ'd it just heavily because there were a bunch of sounds that weren't really necessary for the whole sample, and I just took them out. Then I had the soothe on the hard setting, and I turned the knob on 3.6. Then this simple Valhalla vintage verb where I tweaked the mix and the decay. Then I had the soothe again on the hard setting with the knob on 5.0. And I add this EQ again just to cut out some of the lows and to duck some of the frequencies in, as you can see. And that's basically for the effects on this first violin. Then for the next thing I use this aerial harp, I hope I pronounced it right, from Xenology, from Roland. And I laid down this pretty complex pattern. I mean, it looks pretty complex, but I basically just took them first chords I showed you and just arpeggiated them. And I randomized the velocities, I added some extra notes, and I can't really explain what I did, but you can hear what I did obviously, and you can compare it to the first synth pattern or like to the chord progression, and the harp pattern is sounding like this. Then for the effects on this harp, I had this simple soothe on the soft settings, so basically on the default settings. Then this EQ just to take out a lot of the frequencies that I didn't like or weren't really necessary for the whole sample. Then this Valhalla vintage verb where I tweaked the mix and the decay again. Then this EQ where I cut out a lot of the lows and ducked some of the low mids. And I took out this frequency and some of the highs, so it's basically a pretty complex EQ, I would say. And I put it 31% in stereo. Then for the next thing I had this violin phrase from Splice again, but it's a different one. And I pitched it up by 4 again, brought it into time, then put the declicking mode on generic, and that's basically it. And obviously I can't tell you much about this violin phrase because I didn't make it, but I can show you how it sounds like, and it sounds like this. And then for the effects on this violin, I basically just had the same effects that I had on the first one, but I'm gonna show them to y'all real quick again. And I had this EQ with these settings, then this soothe on these settings, this Valhalla vintage verb, and this EQ again, and that's basically for the effects. You can go back to see them effects in depth, but I think y'all understand what I basically just did there. Then for the next thing, I had the Kill September bang again, and I used this Juno Some Resonance bass, and I put the length knob on 76% and used the loop points thing and put the crossfade on 100%, so it basically just loops the whole time. And the bassline I laid down is pretty simple. I just had the slide note right here, and the whole bassline is sounding like this. Then for the effects on this bass, I just set the simple fruity parametric EQ where I took out one frequency that wasn't really necessary. Then this EQ where I took out some of the muddy lows and a lot of the highs because this bass just had too much high frequencies, and I put it 100% in mono. Then after that I put my mastering chain on, and on the mastering chain there's this compressor with these settings, then this A1 stereo control with these settings, then this simple fruity parametric EQ where I duck a little bit of the lows and some of the highs, then this simple RC20 with the vinyl preset, but I tweaked it. I think I turned off the noise and the digital, but I'm not very sure, so I just tweaked the wobble, the distortion, the magnetic, and this EQ. Then I have this simple EQ where I boost the highs, then this simple EQ where I took out a lot of the frequencies that I didn't really like, and this soothe on its default settings. Then after that I rendered the sample out and I normalized it, put the declicking mode on generic, put the mode on stretch, and put it on the 8th mixer track. And on the 8th mixer track there is this fully parametric EQ where I took out a lot of the frequencies that I didn't really like. Then this simple sound shifter pitch stereo from waves where I pitched it down by 2 semitones, and this EQ where I lowered the volume of the bass or the lows and I cut out some of the muddy lows. And that's basically it for this whole sample, and the finished sample, both parts are sounding like this. So yeah guys, if you all enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. Make sure to leave a comment as well, because as I said, I'm giving away a bunch of samples to some of y'all commenters. And don't forget to turn on the post notifications, because as I said, I will drop my multi-kit, my 2K kit next Tuesday. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And thank you for the support on the last video. Y'all been going crazy in the last few weeks or even months. Yeah, as I said, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. And yeah guys, see y'all.